When it's time to share what you do, does it just flow out of your mouth or does it feel like it gets caught in your throat? I think this happens to more people than we realize. I also think we often make it mean something about us personally. Like maybe you think, oh, I'm just not confident enough. I need to get more confident. Or that you should be able to communicate what you do better. I get that. But with those thoughts, it's like this whole other group of thoughts start showing up, and it's that inner critic. Like, what is wrong with me? Why do I always do this? Why can't I just figure it out? Look, there's a reason why this happens. So stick with me if you want to know more about what that is and what you might be able to do about it. So here's what I believe. I am sure that you are smart and you've got a lot of training under your belt. You know your stuff, and although you may not be able to say it perfectly, you know what it is you want to say. But here's the thing. As human beings, when we get under stress or pressure, then things that we normally have access to, they get hidden. Now, I experienced this a few years back when I was in the emergency department, and the doctor said, "So what do you do for work?" I know what I do for work. I could talk about this work all day long. But in that particular moment, for some weird reason, I felt this pressure. And in a split second, there were probably 3, 4, 5 thoughts that were running through my mind as I tried to get ready to answer. Something like, I wanted to make sure I sounded intelligent. I was wondering if he would understand. I didn't know how he was going to perceive what I do because it's more like spiritual and very feminine energy. So instead of clearly explaining what I do, and I worried for some reason, and I just blurted out, I teach emotional intelligence courses. Very acceptable answer. But look, there's nothing wrong with teaching emotional intelligence courses. They're awesome. But that's not what I do. I just couldn't find the right words in that moment to confidently explain what I do. So I guess you could say I simplified it or minimized it. So have you ever been in a situation like that where you want to share what you do, but it's like your words just get all jumbled up? I've had lots of situations like that. And I've simplified or minimized it going, oh, they're probably not going to get this, or they're going to make fun of me. Well, when I was in that hospital, I did what so many people in the transformation world do. I just like made it up, right? Hoping that the other person wouldn't judge me, right? And I'm not really even sure why I do that or did that, don't anymore. But the way I see it is I was protecting myself. I didn't want to be ridiculed. When you know what you do before a conversation and you know what you do after the conversation, it's probably the emotional healing in that hospital. I did what many of us in the transformation world do. I just shortened it. I made my work smaller, easier for the other person to digest. But at the time, I didn't know why. The way I see it now, I was protecting myself for some perceived or possible ridicule. I know this because I knew what I did before the conversation. I knew what I did afterwards. And usually, probably like you, I'm pretty proud of the emotional healing that I can help people with. But in that moment, during the split-second thinking of possibly being judged, something changed. And it actually felt like I had no control over it. And this is one of the things I think people misunderstand about times like that. When we're under some sort of pressure or stress, whether it's actual and real, or we make it up ourselves, that pressure plays a bigger role than we think, affecting more than just our emotions. And unless that overriding pattern gets handled, it can actually affect the access you have to other things going on, like being clear when you're making a decision, or how to say something in a way that you really want to say it without minimizing it. Your confidence, your self-trust could be affected, where normally you are confident and you do trust yourself. And then bam, low confidence, no trust. It feels horrible, but there is a reason for it. And when you understand that, you'll realize that it was beneficial for you at some point in time. This inability to access your thought during those stressful times is a pattern you develop to stay safe. It's called a protective pattern or pattern of protection. And they take over automatically, whether you want them to or not. So when a part of your brain thinks that you are unsafe, it's not because you did anything wrong or there's anything wrong with you. It's just that your system learned ways to protect you in an attempt to keep you like in connection or belonging, safe. And one of those protective patterns can show up like just keeping you silent so you don't speak. I mean, what you need to know about this is when that protective pattern kicks in, unfortunately, it has a tendency to do actually the opposite of what we're looking for, and it disconnects us. And it disconnects us not just from other people, but from ourselves as well, and certain aspects of ourselves, like our voice. So we don't come across as clear as we would have. Often what happens is we have a feeling of feeling less than or that we're missing something. Sometimes imposter syndrome kicks in where we don't go for the promotion or we don't raise our prices, and we might shy away from connecting with other people or promoting ourselves and other destructive patterns that affect our business. So if you've been around me for any length of time, you've probably heard me say things like, awareness alone isn't enough. It's good, it's needed, but we need more than awareness. We need those next steps. So if you want there to be change, it happens through practice, through being consistent, through paying attention to what happened, and then how you'd like to handle it differently next time. Then we pay attention to whether that different way actually moved you in the direction that you really want to go in. So practicing this is important because it helps you like get more comfortable with that thing, that whatever the trigger was, right? It helps you stay connected to yourself and grounded so your body doesn't automatically go back into that protective pattern. Also, practicing helps you start seeing that the trigger is not so threatening. And that means that the trigger loses its power. So being aware, but also interacting with the pop, the pattern of protection, and noticing when it starts to kick in is a big milestone, because it's only at that point that you can actually really try to change it. Another big moment is when you learn how to stop yourself from that pop taking over. It's where you start slowing down instead of speeding up, which is what we normally do. So the goal is not about becoming perfect at all. It's about learning how to stay connected to yourself even when pressure shows up. And that happens one moment at a time, one situation at a time, one conversation at a time, and it happens. If you want to know more about how to make it happen, you're welcome to join us in the Steady Leader Lab, which is a weekly online presence that we have. I'll leave the link in the description, and you're welcome to go check out more. Feel free to ask questions. See you in the next video.